My dudes, how are you doing? It is a Wednesday, and that of course brings us back to Velocity Lake, the Planet Coaster series in which I play Planet Coaster and build a theme park called Velocity Lake. And in this episode, we're going to basically continue everything we managed to build in the previous episode. So basically finishing off the car park and then sorting out the entrance kind of road to the actual park itself. Now, I will say right off the bat that the road itself has undergone a few changes since the recording of this episode. Nothing drastic, but it does end up changing a little bit. We're not going to do too much kind of additional work, not at least not to the extent of the work we're doing this episode, but we will do a little bit of work in future episodes to kind of tidy the thing up a bit. But I think for now it's pretty close to its final form, close enough that I'm happy showing the time lapse off for you guys now. So the first thing I'm going to do is finish off the car park itself, because most car parks for theme parks have a dedicated area for coaches and buses, that sort of thing. So that's what I've done there. So we can just make sure that the actual tarmac itself extends up to the bus park, and then we can start thinking about how to connect the actual pathway itself to the park itself, I suppose. So there's a lovely nauseating time-lapse view of the park. So, oh, look at that. I took the screenshot that served as the end screen angle for the previous episode. Okay, so speaking of the previous episode, here is the roundabout we built, and that was it. That is the last you'll see of that hideous, ugly roundabout. Now we're going to build a roundabout that one would argue is probably even uglier. See, one of the reasons why I got rid of the roundabout we built in the last episode is because it doesn't work for a country where cars drive on the left. We kind of have to have a little bit more of a curvy road structure in order to make sure that cars join the roundabout in the right direction. So first things first, I'm going to plan out the basic layout of the road using the terrain paint tools, and then we'll go over and do things a little bit more accurately once we've got the actual road markings and road texture down. So you can kind of see I've got that divergent path coming off the third exit for the roundabout. That's just going to be the deliveries area. See, there's an area of land to the right of the entrance building. If you look at it from the road itself, that's going to be where the deliveries and all that goes. There's going to be a big warehouse for the park that's going to store all kind of the deliveries, I suppose, but any kind of excess storage things like extra fencing, ride pieces, that sort of thing, theming, like when it's not Christmas, for example, they could store Christmas trees in there. Very weirdly specific example for stuff you can store at a warehouse, but I hope you get the gist of the sentiment I'm trying to say here. You're gonna have to bear with me a little bit, I think, my dudes, because I've just finished recording the episode before the one you're watching now, and I've had to spend almost the best part of 20 minutes talking about roads and car park layout. So at this point, I'm like, I don't really know what else there is to say. I was clutching at straws during the recording of last episode's commentary. So this time I got no chance. I got absolutely no hope whatsoever in touching anything meaningful when it comes to designing roads and car parks, because I feel like I've said everything that needs to be said. I'm using these scenery pieces here actually because a lot of people like to use the art pieces when designing road surfaces. The issue with this, and I learned this the hard way in Neptune Park, is that the actual art shape pieces have a much, much, much lower draw distance than other pieces. So when you zoom out, they all disappear from view very quickly, which was a shame because Neptune Park's dominant feature was its big tower. So like nothing, for example, none of the roller coasters were allowed to be taller than the tower as the rule I set. And, all skyline pictures, photo opportunities in Neptune Park would include that tower as the centerpiece. However, if you zoomed out far enough, the entire tower would just disappear aside from its core structure, which would look a bit naff. It would look way too spindly for its overall footprint. So that was a real shame. And so now I try and avoid using art pieces whenever I can, just because I know the draw distance is so bad. And especially for things like the road, where you're going to be zooming way, way, way out of Velocity Lake, just so you can kind of appreciate the whole map and see the road. I didn't really want the road markings all just disappearing. So that's why I'm trying to avoid the art pieces whenever I can, basically, for the road surface. I believe I said this is going to be the final road layout. I do end up redesigning the roundabout a little bit, like nowhere near as extreme as the road change I've just done. But I do end up changing the layout of the roundabout a little bit in the future. And I do end up using the art pieces quite a bit for some of the markings, but it's a fairly small component of the overall road structure, so I didn't think it was too bad. Anyway, here is a big thing actually that I'm constructing in this episode, which I feel like I should have touched on earlier, but whatever. I did mention it in the previous episode, and guys, right? You guys are watching every episode, right? Yeah. You guys are big fans of the series, I hope. We're going to be constructing the toll booth for the cars. This is where cars can pay. I don't really know. I didn't really think it through. I guess they could pay the privilege of parking in the car park. In fact, actually, this is something I thought of with my headcanon, is that Neptune Park and this park, and I guess Crimson Tower, I guess, as well, are all part of the same complex of parks because they all have monorails leading into them. Granted, Crimson Tower doesn't as such, but Neptune Park and this park, although it's not built yet, have a monorail that disappears off the map as like the hypothetical means in which guests can reach the park without a car. And that's how I justified Neptune Park having such a small car park compared to its overall size, is because most guests will get here by monorail and they'll park at the cheaper but further away geographically car park they could arrive. Yeah. So that's also the thing I'm going for with Velocity Lakes. Although there's a car park on site, you got to pay a premium to park at the car park here, and that's where you pay the parking charge at these toll booths here, and then other guests can just arrive by monorail. So in the next episode, I think, or at least the episode after, very soon, we're going to be building the monorail structure itself. So most guests will be arriving by monorail, and that's what we're going to be building in the next episode. Like I just said, I don't know why I'm repeating it now. But, guests that want to pay a premium for a kind of more convenient car parking spot could pay at the toll booths here. So look at that. We've already answered the issue I encountered very early on in this commentary. So that's what we're doing here, building the toll booth here. I've not really based it on anything specific, but I feel like it's a fairly realistic layout. Things like, I don't know, Thorpe Park. I think I checked out the satellite view on Google Maps. Google Street View is your friend when trying to design realistic looking parks, because a lot of theme parks are actually some guy walked around theme parks with a helmet on. I guess it's not the same. I say like some guys if it's the same guy going to every single theme park. But he walked around with a 360 camera as if like he was the Google Street View car. So you can walk around theme parks using Google Street View, and you can get some really good reference images. So that's what I did. That's what I do. That's what I do a lot of the time when building Velocity Lake, is looking at the Google Street View of various theme parks to kind of try and emulate the style in order to get a realistic look. And that's one of the things I did. Although that being said, it was probably the Street View car going through the car park entrance gates, come to think of it. So I don't know why that didn't occur to me sooner. How did I get onto this topic? Let's talk about something else. There's the barrier going up there. It's just the pole piece, but I coloured it red and white as opposed to the standard black and white. Just kind of going to give that hazard look. And we've also got the red and green traffic light thing to kind of indicate when to proceed. Okay, this didn't need saying either. But like I said, guys, at the beginning, it's very difficult to talk about what's on screen to much extent, because really what's going on screen, A, the footage speaks for itself, and B, the actual content of what's going on is not particularly interesting. So these are the dining pieces from the, which pack was it? Was it the Studios pack? I don't actually know what pack the dining pack's from. But it's from one of the more recent DLC packs. Either way, it formed a pretty nice roof for the toll booths. So, I guess, what interesting anecdotes do I have about toll booths? I live in Plymouth, and the toll bridge here has just announced that they haven't just announced it, but they have announced they're going to up the cost of the suspension bridge here. Things like the Golden Gate and the Severn Bridge and stuff are generally paid for by tolls, and what the Severn Bridge did was that once the bridge was paid off, they removed the toll, and now it's a free bridge. Plymouth's answer to this solution, now that they've paid off the Tamar Bridge, is to actually up the cost of the toll so it can pay for the ferry that people get when they don't want to cross the bridge. I guess there's like a very small zone where it's quicker to get the ferry, but the vast majority of people, it's more convenient to just use the bridge. But the bridge toll is now going to go up to help subsidize the ferry, which is a bit of a debate, because why don't you just invest in a road that connects the end of the bridge to the zone that the ferry serves, and then kind of negate the need for a ferry at all? I don't know. So that's kind of like a bummer, really. At the moment, it's £1.50 to cross the Tamar Bridge, and I don't know what it's going up to. I've heard £3 as the figure, which is a bit of a rip-off. I guess, granted, I don't need to cross that bridge very often. I sometimes work in Cornwall. I guess for most people that don't know the area, this is now completely lost to people, but I sometimes work in Cornwall. As someone that lives in Plymouth, I sometimes work in Cornwall, and I sometimes need to cross the Tamar Bridge. So I don't know, I'll probably end up going the long way around Tavistock and Launceston, I suppose. Very, very niche areas. That's my story about toll bridges, I suppose. But I mean, like, part of me thinks one of the things that could, like, you know, help reduce the running costs of the Tamar Bridge is that it's still like a guy or a girl manning the toll booth itself. Like, you have to stop your car, right, wind down your window, hand over your £1.50 to the outreached arm of the operator, who then counts your money, hands you any change, and then manually opens the barrier. I went to San Francisco. It's not like this. The Golden Gate Bridge, you just drive across like a normal bridge and then pay later online. My goodness, you could save so much money that way. I know there's a very large geriatric population in the Southwest here because it's a popular retirement location. We're like the Florida of the UK. A lot of retirees here, I guess, don't know how to use the internet. But guys, come on, it's current year. It's current year, guys. We need to start thinking about investing in technology as means of saving. I'm sure the elder generation will be happy to learn new things if it means they don't have to pay as much of a toll. And that's my anecdote on toll bridges. Here, we can actually talk about something. It's been happening for a while, but I said that this was going to be the area in which deliveries go. Well, this is the actual final destination for deliveries. It's this big warehouse. It's nothing spectacular in terms of its design. It's fairly generic. I used the I think they are literally called warehouse door pieces in the game, but they served as a nice facade for the front of the warehouse. In fact, I dragged some of them out to form the wall structure as well. Do make sure that when you use these pieces to select the thing that says activate on trigger, so they're not just constantly automatically opening and closing, which is what they do if you don't do that. Unless you want that, I suppose, but I don't know why you would. You would either want them opening on a trigger so that, you know, a ride could interact with them, or just not opening at all because you want them to look like realistic scenery pieces. Either way, you want to be using the activate on trigger. And then I've got this little kind of, I don't know what it would be, annex extension to the actual building itself using the slack wood pallet. I don't know what it's called. Extension there. Just kind of, it makes a nice little worker's cabin. I don't really know. It added a nice little accent. That's why I went with it there. And that's pretty much kind of the bulk of the delivery aspect of the park done. I added some shipping containers here, not because it looks particularly realistic, but it adds some nice texturing to it. I think there is a little bit more I could do if I wanted to make it look super realistic. There's a bit more I could do to this warehouse, like add a few more like loading platforms so that lorries can be unloaded from the back at lorry height. I really don't know how to articulate this very well. I'm very tired, I'm very warm, and I really need to. I haven't eaten anything all day. You know, I haven't eaten lunch either because I was working at a peripheral site and I had to drive back to work to do my afternoon shift. So I haven't had a chance to eat anything today. So I'm 24 hours now without food. I'm warm. I'm tired. I really shouldn't be recording a commentary, guys, but here I am. You know, we deliver at Lowne Enterprises here. We deliver. Oh, Deliveroo delivers. I could order Deliveroo right now and it would arrive by the time I'm done recording. Nope. I'm trying to be healthy. I am trying to lose a bit of weight. Ever since I moved into my house, I have been a bit negligent to my own personal health and I have put on a few pounds that I want to lose because things like my buoyancy aid for kayaking is a bit snug. So I'm trying to cut back a little bit. So I'm not drinking. I'm sober. I know, right? A lot of people think I'm an alcoholic. Maybe it's because I drink like 2 liters of vodka a day. But that was a joke. I don't actually drink alcohol very frequently, but I often drink it as a joke in skits in this game. Like I drink Jack Daniels when I'm trying to overcome tough KSP challenges, which I now realize is an understandable means of concern that I'm alcoholic. But, you know, drinking sociably, like on a Friday night, Saturday night, I'm cutting it out. I'm just going with the soft drinks because, you know, it's all calories, trying to be healthy. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment. So, you know, maybe when this is uploaded, I can look back and think, yes, I completely failed in this task, but hopefully not. And that's all I have to say about that. That's the end of this episode, I guess, because we've done the delivery area. That's the road system pretty much done as a first draft. We can cut to the end screen and talk about what's on screen here. There is a link to the full playlist on the left as well as one on the right. that was chosen for you by YouTube's recommendation algorithm. There's also a link to subscribe and check out the Patreons on screen. Guys, I do hope you enjoyed this installment of Velocity Lake and indeed enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I will see you in the next one.